So, hi Harriet.
Hi.
Welcome. And can you tell us a bit about Harriet and what you've done, like your experience, because I know you're very experienced with private investigation, and also, and MyKludo, why you kicked off MyKludo?
Sure. So look, thank you very much, Paul, for having me chat to your students tonight. I think it's great. All the advances that we've made in the last couple of years have really enabled a lot of technology, which allows these conversations to happen really naturally now, which I think is fantastic. But yeah, just to explain a little bit about myself is because it puts MyKludo into context, really. So I started my life in the UK, and I always wanted to be a police officer. I have to say that I did always have that in my head. I wanted to be a police officer and I wanted to work with offenders. So I have this sort of theme in my life about being really curious about bad behavior. So anyway, I was a bit too young to join the police cadets because they just stopped them as I was leaving school. So I did the right thing, went off to uni, and then I still wanted to join the police. It looked like a lot of fun. So I joined the police, and that was a lot of fun, but it's quite an experience, as well. As any police officer would tell you, you grow up a lot in a very short space of time and get exposed to things that really would be better if you didn't get exposed to. So I did that, and then my life, I decided to go traveling, and I came traveling to Australia. And when I came to Australia, I discovered that policing was quite different, and they had universities that taught police officers and things like that. So I was very lucky, and I got an opportunity to work as a lecturer at Charles Sturt University just before they introduced the police recruit training in which the university now deliver, but it was just before they brought that in. So that was quite an exciting time to be developing academic courses and to I discovered at that point all this research that goes into developing policing and how we respond to different police situations, and in particular investigative interviewing. And I did that work for a few years. And then I moved into the AFP for a very short little window of 12 months, which was another interesting exposure to a different sort of policing. And then I discovered these group of people called HR professionals who were doing lots of investigations into misconduct. And they, at that time, didn't really have any understanding of evidence or proving offences or any of the legal system really that surrounds that. So with a colleague, we started working, helping HR managers work with investigations and doing their misconduct investigations. And that business thrived, flourished. I set up a company, managed that company for like 17 years, specializing in workplace investigations. And then back in, I think it was 2017, I sold that business to my was a newer partner, but I sold my business to him, and then just ended up working as an individual contractor. And one of the things that I sort of became aware of during the time that I ran that business is that we have a lot of new people come into the investigations world, and they bring their skills with them and they bring their existing knowledge from the industries with them. It's very hard for them to get a crack at doing investigations work. And also, I felt that there's a lot of really experienced investigators that don't really get recognized for the skill that they bring. So there's these traditional investigation companies, just like the one I had, was a traditional one. The owner took all the money and the workers did all the work. But that is the system that we have in Australia, and we didn't seem to have a better system. But in the few years since I've left, so since I sold Wise, I was trying to work out how do we move the investigations industry into the next century? Like where are the opportunities? where are the needs, the demands, what skills do people need? And I've been fascinated to watch the whole development of OSINT, which I know nothing, I really know nothing about OSINT. I can only do the most basic Google searches, but I know that there's this industry out there that's growing really fast to tackle with some of the inequities and some of the barriers to new people getting into the industry. So what I've set up with MyKludo, which I consider at this point really to be sort of prototype one, because COVID has had a significant impact on the innovation, if you like. But I've set up a marketplace that is for investigators. So all different sorts of investigators, all different levels of investigator, with the intent that clients can come to that place, and with the assistance of me and my team, they can find the right investigator for their particular case. So whether it be that you need a particular, sometimes they come and they need really specific medical knowledge in the investigator. So you have your investigation skills, but they need to have very specific industry skills to go with it, or experience with bullying and harassment, or whether it's workers' comp or mediation, we deal with that as well. So the client can come and we assist them to find the best investigator for their case. And we also facilitate getting quotes, so the client can have a number of quotes from different, independent investigators. And that's the aim of the platform. What I think it does as well for investigators is it gives another opportunity, another avenue to gain work, and also to be able to network, upskill, and make those connections with other people in the industry who may also find you work, which is, ultimately that's these systems exist to help people get work. So that's really why I set up MyKludo, Paul, was to create was to recognize that the skills of independent investigators, and to create a system that was a bit fairer, in a workplace that's a bit fair and a bit more equitous than the existing businesses that we currently have that service investigations.
Yeah, that's it's great. It's great that you've done that. And I'm just wondering, so Australia-wide?
Yeah, so it's been set up to deal with Australia and New Zealand in the first instance. We're not active in New Zealand at the moment, so we're really trying to perfect the model in Australia. So once we've got that model working as we want it to work, and we know that it's going to be a going concern, it's set up so that it could be globalized quite easily. So we've got quite a few connections in Canada and in the UK already, and some in India as well. So we've got some growing connections and interest in India. But obviously, because we work in a very regulated industry, in order to offer the services in any other market, you've got to know the regulation. So anybody coming in, so any investigator offering services through MyKludo, they're all vetted.
Yeah.
So we check all their licensing, their registrations, we check they've got insurance, we check their referees, and we make sure that they are a legitimate person and they do have experience, or if they don't have experience, that what skills they do bring with them.
Yeah. And I really appreciate your setup, because being registered with you as an investigator, when my license was coming up for renewal, I got a reminder from you guys saying, hey, Paul,
Yes.
your license is coming up for renewal. I went, oh, excellent. I better do that. And also when my insurance was about to run out, you said, Paul, your insurance is about to run out. I went, cool, excellent. I need to do that. So very handy to be registered with you.
Yeah, and the same goes if you have working with children checks and any of those other checks that have they have a duration and then they expire. So the system automatically creates a reminder.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. Excellent. So how do students connect with you to become part of your network? once they
Well,
get their license?
yeah, so obviously, I think the reason why Paul was asking the question about those people in New South Wales earlier is because there's a minor hiccup for people that newly register in New South Wales, in that you have to be supervised through the first year of your holding your license. You'll only get a provisional license for the first 12 months. But if we take everybody else, once you've got your Cert 3 and you've got your license, which all the licensing agencies will check that you're a fit and proper person, i.e. you don't have a criminal record and you don't have a bunch of AVOs or IVOs outstanding against you. They will check that. But if you just simply come onto our website and you can start your profile there. So your profile, you just explain a bit about who you are and what services you offer or what skill level you're at. So I've had quite a lot of conversations with newly qualified people over the last couple of years, and there are some hurdles to getting into the industry. And what I say to those people that contact me is about connecting their skills that they have from other work engagement. So everybody comes with a history. Very few people come into private investigations straight from school, although there may be some, but it's very rare. Most people have worked in some capacity before. So one of the best ways to get experience in investigations is to try to bridge the gap from your previous experience and as an investigator, because nearly every type of working situation requires investigations of some sort. So whether that be stock loss, if you've worked in retail, you might be able to get your first engagements in stock loss and some experience in there. Or if it's it might be in the employment space, it just depends, or it could be in the insurance space. But some of those hardest bits are getting the first bits of experience. And we have connected. So once you're in the system, then we get to see who you are and what sort of experience you've got. And then we can connect you with some of the more experienced investigators who may be able to buddy up with you for a few jobs. And that way you get your own independent experience. So we have done that for a few people. And yeah, I think, did that answer your question, Paul?
Yeah, and it's a great opportunity for students. And so to join and sign up with you, what's the cost to do that?
It's completely free. So you don't have to pay anything to sign up. You just start your profile and we'll walk you through that onboarding process. And even if you can't complete the full onboarding process, when your profile's in there, we can see you. So if we can see you, then we know where we need to go to connect people. And we are working on a few, things. So there's some things we set up with the first version of MyKludo, which may change in time, but we're just seeing how it goes. But because we wanted to make sure, a lot of private investigators need to stay private. They need their profiles to remain sort of off the grid. And so for that reason, your profiles can't be searched by customers. They stay fully confidential, and it's only MyKludo staff that can search through those profiles. But we get a client and the client goes, well, we've got this job and we need these sort of skill set. And so we search the database to find those people. Or we might post the job and say, if it's a more everyday matter, we might post the job and say, we're looking for people with this skill set, give us a quote. Or tell us where you are. Sometimes it's a location thing. People need an investigator, like particularly in lockdown, we need investigators that are really local. And that can be hard for customers to find. So we'll do that.
Yeah.
So at the moment, it's completely closed. I forgot now what I was going to say, the other element, but the other thing that we do is we, through COVID, because COVID happened, like a matter of days after we launched. So that was a bit of a spanner in the business development, but we started doing regular webinars. So we do, not every month, but quite frequently through the year, we're doing webinars, and we've held some conferences that have been they're really good for that additional skill building and knowledge building about the industry. So I'd really encourage people. So some of the, you get, if you're on the platform, you get discounts to anything that we sell. A lot of the webinars are free, but the conferences all come with a discount for people who have a profile on the system. So that's another way to get familiar with the industry and to connect with people.
Yeah, I have done some of those and I think they're fantastic. I really enjoy them. And as a trainer and assessor and owner of PICA, that I need to keep my skill set up in knowledge, and doing your webinars and the people you have on and what they talk about is just fantastic to get a broad range of different areas.